Greetings. Thank you for joining me. Today I'll be answering a question from Yusuf in Dubai, and he asked, what happens when a witch dies? So I'm answering this question today because firstly, we're asked this question quite frequently, or the question of what happens when you die. And secondly, I see there's so much interest out there about what happens. So rather than you hearing another perspective from someone who's had a near-death experience or somebody who's just studied on the internet about what happens when you die and then makes a great video, and there's a lot of great videos out there, I'm going to share with you my perspective as someone that is a practicing witch, has been practicing witchcraft for decades now, and who actually works with other people from traditions across the world daily who have different perspectives than me, but we're all in agreement what actually happens when you die, or what happens to the energy when it crosses over from this physical body. But from my perspective, I've taken some notes so I can keep this video tight because I can ramble, and I'll just try and hit all the key points, okay? So when you die, it doesn't matter if you're a witch or a warlock or a tarot reader, or if you're a doctor or a lawyer, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. You are not going to be judged because we are all energy, chai, prana, whatever word you want to call it. That's all we are. And this vessel, this body that we occupy, when we've finished with it, when it's finished with us, if we're not well, then it goes into the earth, and yes, it perishes, or you can be cremated, or whatever you do with that body. Now, at this point, what happens? Well, the people that have had a near-death experience actually didn't die. Maybe they flatlined or whatever, but their spirit hasn't actually, or their energy ball hasn't actually left and gone to the other side. It hasn't cut the cord to go into the other side yet. This is a reason why they can come back, because there's still an energetic cord from their physical body to their energy ball, or to their soul, or whatever you want to call it. Once that's cut, there is no coming back. There's no way. It just doesn't happen. But I suppose it can feel like it to someone that's having or maybe seeing visions, and I'm not doubting that at all. But you're just not dead. What happens from there can vary depending on several factors. You can stay earthbound. That's a real thing, to stay earthbound, an earthbound spirit, and we've got lots of names for that too. That could be a different video though. But then what happens if you do go on? If you go up into the, I call it the grid, the universe, the energy, whatever you want, other people call it heaven. I hate heaven and hell, the words heaven and hell, because they're so Christian based, and it gives you the wrong idea of what's actually going to happen. So then your little energy ball goes up, back up to the grid. And what happens once it hits the grid? There's several options that can happen there depending on where you were on your regurgitation, if you want, back into the body, having a life experience, expiring, coming back up to the grid. Sometimes this can happen several times depending on the lessons that you need to learn. Other times when you go back up to the grid, you might meet maybe your ancestors, or you're having an experience up there, or maybe you have a job up there. Because now you've learned enough lessons, you can help others that are trying to process whatever happened on the earth, and now they're processing that. Normally the people that help others process are already ascended masters. Now, in different religions, actually they allude to this. I know in Islam they talk about the 7 levels of heaven, and so this is kind of right in certain ways, that you do go up certain levels depending on how much knowledge you accumulate, the lessons you've learned with that knowledge. If you feel like you need to connect with other beings and things, it's complex. I don't have all the answers, obviously. But there are several different levels. And then if you are an ascended master or a guru, maybe you stay up there and you just help others with their processing once their energy goes back. And when we think about people who are ascended masters, we think about like the Buddha, or maybe Jesus, or maybe Muhammad, or there's so many other different gurus that have had a physical earthbound experience, but now they've gone back up. Okay, that's what they're doing. They're not judging. They're not categorizing people to think about punishment. That's not even a question up there. It's just a non-event. This is a fairy tale told to people for compliance reasons, to make you feel guilty, to make you feel shame, all of that. Different video once again. So let's talk about when we're reborn. What will happen is that you're generally going to decide, your energy ball will decide, did you actually learn the lessons that you wanted to learn? Or do you want to go down and have another experience? And if you answer yes, you do, I believe that you go back down with a whole pod of other people of your collective. You go back down to have that earthbound experience. But what happens is, like with an iPhone, you get reset. So everything's wiped. Your memories are wiped. All the photos, the images, all the experience, the apps, they're all wiped. And then what happens is you can recover the old data. For example, Mia through blackwitchcoven, through her techniques, goes in, finds out what happens in the past life, can correct some issues. That would be another video. But you can actually find out who you were and what your lesson was in most of your past lives. But it's really interesting to know that when you do come down and you start to experience this life again, you'll start to bump into people or have these experiences with people that are triggering emotions in you that you can't explain, because maybe the relationship's not like this, but you're making it like this. It doesn't make sense. And this is because you've had a past life experience with somebody. And this is what's happened in the past life. And you don't have words or a memory, a conscious memory of what happened with that person. But you know something happened and you're attracted to them and you're just trying to work it out. It feels like a battle. There's many different scenarios here. What I'm saying is that when you come back down, maybe your mother is now your son. Maybe your father is now your grandfather. And all these other different configurations tend to happen because we're always coming back down and trying to work out what went wrong the last time and could we do it better, and all these other different things that we're doing when we're coming back down. Then we expire again and this process continues again. So that is exactly what it's all about. There is no heaven and there is no hell. And that is 100% the truth. So I'm going to leave this video here because I don't want to turn it into a lecture. I just wanted to share with you out there exactly what happens to you when you die. And as a witch, as a warlock, as a sorcerer, as a tarot reader, you have no worries about what is going to happen to you, because the same thing's going to happen to you that happens to all of us. We're just here to learn lessons with the people that we love, and we either personally succeed in that lesson or we feel like we've got something else to learn and the process continues. Okay, so maybe there's lots of other questions that are going to come out of some of the things I say, and if you do have questions, you'll need to go over to the blackwitchcoven website and there'll be a link under this video to take you to the blog post, and then you can make a comment there if you want my feedback or to answer a question. Maybe I'll note it down and answer it at another time. But thank you so much for listening, and goodbye for now.